Welcome to this edition of Labor Vision. I'm Bob Delaney, Executive Director of the Institute for Labor Studies and Research. Labor Vision, a production of the Institute, focuses on topics of importance to working Rhode Islanders. We hope you enjoy this edition.
Hello and welcome to Labor Vision, the at-home edition. I am your host, Erica Hammond, the Workforce Labor Liaison at the Institute for Labor Studies and Research. And joining me today, we have a very familiar face to any of our regular viewers, Jim Parisi, who's joining us, who has been a host many times. So thank you so much for joining us, Jim.
I'm glad to be back on with you. Thank you for joining me.
And for those of you who have not seen Jim before or do not know Jim, he is the president of the Rhode Island Labor History Society. He is also on the professional staff of the Rhode Island Federation of Teachers and Health Professionals. So you wear many hats.
I do, gladly.
But for the sake of this segment, I want us to really focus on the Rhode Island Labor History Society. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the work you guys are doing right now amidst all of the craziness that's happening right now? What are you guys working on?
Sure, Erica, I'd be glad to. But maybe before I talk about what we're doing now, just for some viewers who are not all that familiar with this, just a quick bit of background. The Labor History Society is a group of volunteers, a lot of academics as well as labor leaders, union staff, union activists, and some people who are just, in the community who are very aligned with the ideals of the labor movement. They came together a long time ago, 1987 we've been around. So a group of people came together in 87 to form the Labor History Society. We do a couple of different things. We regularly run programs to make presentations to the public on labor history, union history, and also working class history. And we've always had a view of, including some of the, culture and ethnic, side of this as well, because that's an important part of the working class experience. We have an annual banquet every summer, except for this year due to the pandemic. Every August, we come together over at the Roger Williams Park Casino and we honor some labor leaders who've done exemplary work, some community members who've done exemplary work in the field of labor relations, working class issues. It's a very important celebration for us. I call it Labor's Summer Party, where we come together in a very social way to honor some terrific leaders of our community and of our labor movement every year. And unfortunately, due to the pandemic, first we were going to try and do it in October. And then when we saw that we still couldn't have a large gathering, the social nature of that thing is important to us. So we decided to kick it over a year. We've got 4 terrific honorees that we're going to honor next August. Our date is August 19th of 2021. So everyone can mark their calendars. When we're back at the Roger Williams Park Casino, we're back in person, talking to people, where we're going to honor our labor leaders next year. So that's something we've always done, and we're going to continue doing after this one-year hiccup.
Very nice.
We also do a few other things. We have a budget because we have a membership base. We have almost 300 individuals who are either lifetime members who've paid $150 to join us, and they don't have to worry about dues renewal notices, or other people who pay $15 a year, $25 for 2 years, plus a number of organizations, mostly local labor unions that pay dues every year. So, we've got a pot of money, not a big pot of money, but, we've got money available to do a few things, obviously the mailings for our programs, a little subsidy for our annual banquet. We do, public programs that I'll talk a little more about. We also give checks to students who do labor-oriented projects for History Day. There's a national, History Day program where each state has a competition where students from all secondary schools compete doing, history-oriented projects, whether it's, a report, a written report. It could be a play. It could be a PowerPoint presentation or a backboard. And our society has always given cash awards to students who do labor-themed projects. So it's great to have a budget where we're able to do that. $100 goes a long way for a middle school student. But if someone does a project on the, Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, or if they do a project on Luz Hines and the photography he took of child labor, things like that, we want to encourage that, and we do that through cash awards. So that's a program that we're proud to do every year.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. And I know that they're my weeks are getting mixed up now, but just last week on Labor Day, you guys had a big event as well that you do every year. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
We do. So 10 years ago this year, we put up a monument at the Mashasek Cemetery in Central Falls. Mashasek Cemetery is a cemetery right near some mills. And there was there was a nationwide conflict in 1934 with different textile workers throughout the country. And Rhode Island was a participant of that. And there was some pushback, and the National Guard actually shot into a group of strikers and people who were allegedly rioting. And the site of some of the shooting was the cemetery itself. In fact, there's a couple of tombstones that still have bullet holes in them. But 2 people died there, and then two other people died in Woonsocket during that 34 strike. So to commemorate that important event in Salesville, Salesville is the mill down there, we put up a monument in the Mashasek Cemetery, and we've had an annual Labor Day talk every year for the last 10 years, where we invite a speaker to talk about, maybe Salesville and some other, aspects of what's going on today, what's gone on in the past. So we do an annual Labor Day address. We're keeping the labor in Labor Day by doing that every year. And even though there was a pandemic, we wanted to keep that going this year. So we had about 40 or so people show up to the cemetery. Everyone wore a mask. Everyone kept social distance. It's very easy to do in a wide open space like that. And we had a speaker this year. Miriam Ruman did a talk titled "Bread, Roses, and PPE," where she kind of tried and succeeded in equating some of what we're going through today to some of the struggles in the recent past. She highlighted some, teacher activism, as well as, some of the COVID response, and related it to that strike in 34 and some other struggles, particularly struggles of women, because the textile workers were predominantly female.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend any of our viewers who have never been to that event, make sure you try and get out to it next year, because I was able to go to it for the first time this year, which I'm sad to say this was my first time, but it was a really nice event, and I was pleasantly surprised to see, not surprised, I guess, to see everyone was wearing a mask and socially distancing, and it was really a good turnout given the circumstances. And so I'm excited to go hopefully next year when things are back to normal, I hope, or things have things are working a little bit more normally, right?
We will get there, and things will be more normal. And we actually pared down the event a little bit this year. We normally have music, but we didn't have music this year. We usually have refreshments. We cut that out due to the pandemic. So we're definitely coming back next year, and we'll be back at the cemetery on Labor Day itself, 10 o'clock in the morning, and we encourage a lot of folks to come out and join us.
Awesome. And now looking forward, I know that you guys are going to be working on a new project. It's a 4-part series, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So the Labor History Society normally will have 3 or 4 events a year where we'll have an author talk about a book he or she wrote, on a labor topic. We'll have a speaker to commemorate an anniversary of an important struggle or important event in our history. And knowing that we weren't going to be able to come together in person, where even if we hosted an event, we questioned whether people would be comfortable coming to an event in person. We wanted to put an online series made available to our members and the whole community on different topics. So we're launching a series, and I give great credit to Miriam Ruman, who headed up a committee along with Pat Crowley and Joey DiFrancesco and Danielle DiRocco, who worked hard to put together a 4-part program, all online. It's going to be presented on Zoom, as well as streamed live on Facebook Live on the 4 events. So coming up soon on Wednesday, September 23rd, we have an author, Christy Clark Pujara from the University of Wisconsin at Madison, who's going to present her talk on dark work, the business of slavery in Rhode Island. So on the one hand, it's not a traditional union topic, but it's definitely a working class issue, the issue of slavery and forced labor. We thought it was particularly topical this year with so much of a community focus on racial and social justice, that we talk more about the business of slavery in Rhode Island. And we're really happy to have an expert on that give a talk. So it's going to be at 12:30 on Wednesday, September 23rd. And this is one of the benefits of these times, if you will, where normally, a professor out in Wisconsin wouldn't be able to easily, hop on a plane and come on over and give a talk, but she's able to carve out some time in her day in Wisconsin, and we're going to do it made available here in Rhode Island via Zoom and Facebook Live. So September 23rd, Dark Work, the Business of Slavery in Rhode Island. I'm really excited about this first of a 4-part series.
That is really exciting. And because it's being done through Zoom and shared on Facebook Live, individuals who are working throughout the day or may not have been able to leave, right, and go to one of those talks are probably able to tune in, whether they're on break or if they're working from home, having it up on the side. Not going to say that that's the best way to be able to focus on your work, but if they're able to have that up as well and tune into it, that would be really cool. Will it be on your the Rhode Island Labor History Society's Facebook page that they can
it will be on, more information is available on our Facebook page as well as our website, RILHS.org.
Okay, awesome. And do you have are there any other events that you'd like to talk about coming up, or any other projects you guys are working on?
Well, I've got 2 other things I'd love to mention. First of all, I mentioned it's a 4-part series, so I could at least give the dates and topics to the viewers. On Tuesday, October 23rd at 5:30, we're going to have a presentation by Andrew Polta on female networks of labor, making a living in early 19th century Providence. And I started reading a paper he had written. It's really interesting what working class people, had to do to get by in Providence, which was a port town, a maritime town. Working class women had to find work and make work, and some of them, got by through, operating boarding houses, some of them brothels. But the fact that, you had this whole economy and how people worked together to protect themselves, we thought was, again, not a classic union issue, but a really important, snapshot of working class history in Rhode Island. So that's on October 13th. And that one's going to be, again, on Zoom and Facebook Live, but that's scheduled for 5:30.
Okay.
A month later, on Wednesday, November 18th, Pat Crowley, who is the Secretary Treasurer of the AFL-CIO here in Rhode Island, as well as Vice President of the Labor History Society, amongst many other things, is going to give a talk on Salesville, what I had mentioned earlier about the 1934 strike, the massacre at Salesville. He's done a lot of his own research on it, and he's given great talks on it in the past, and we're really happy. He's going to give us another presentation in November. And then finally in December, on December 15th at 5:30, Aaron Berkemeyer, who's at Harvard University, is going to give a talk on the Federations and Fraternal Orders, the place of police unions in the history of the labor movement.
Wow.
Again, we thought it was a topical issue. Police unions, some people had questioned, whether or not we ought to have unions in the first place within police forces, or what their existence ought to be. And we thought it would be important for us as a history organization to be able to provide some information to the community on some of the history of police organizing. Unfortunately, on this one, we didn't have an expert on Rhode Island, history of police unions to talk. There's going to be a concentration on Baltimore, but we thought it was a topical issue, an interesting issue, and we wanted to make that available to the public. So that's going to be in mid-December, on December 15th.
Yeah, all of those sound very, very interesting. That one in particular is a hot topic right now too. So hopefully a lot of folks will tune in and we'll see.
Sure, and we're not going to be addressing the issue of should police unions exist,
Right.
yes or no. It's more about what's happened in the past, so people can kind of figure out how it came together.
Very important to know your past to be able to move forward.
It sure is, Erica. And then the final thing I want to mention, it's just passed, but it should still be available. So every year, the Labor History Society makes a donation to the Museum of Work and Culture so they could be open free of charge on Labor Day. And we've done that every year, and we gave a contribution this year, but they weren't open to the public this year due to the pandemic. But they did put together a video series that's available on the Museum of Work and Culture's Facebook page and their website on a couple of different labor topics. Scott Malloy, past president of our organization, did a talk on Joseph Bannigan, who ran Rubber Company up there. There are a few, there's an artist who's doing an exhibit there who gave a preview. So there are a few interesting things on the Museum of Work and Culture Facebook page that people might want to check out as well, as something that we were part of as part of our recent Labor Day celebration.
Okay, I think I may have saw something about that. I want to look more into it. Is that something that one of your members, Autumn Gillette, was taking part in as well, right?
She did. She did a presentation as well. I think it was released right before Labor Day, and it should still be available for people to check out.
Awesome. Okay.
And again, through the beauty of distancing that we're able to do sometimes, there she is in Dublin, Ireland, able to make a presentation for us here in Rhode Island. Right.
And in case anyone missed it on that Saturday that she did it, now we still have the ability to watch it, which is great.
It sure is, Erica.
All right, Jim. I'll give you the floor if you'd like to close with anything before we end.
I just, first of all, like to thank you and thank Labor Vision for all the work you do in publicizing, the current events as well as past events of working people and the labor movement. We see ourselves as the Labor History Society as being part of that. We're just a band of volunteers who like this work, like reminding people of our past stories, bringing interesting programs forward. We're certainly available for anyone who wants to join us. Look for us on our website. Give me a call at 965-4598 if you want an application. But we'd love to boost our membership and boost active participation in preserving labor history and keeping working class history alive through activities of the Labor History Society. And Erica, thank you for inviting me to be able to make my pitch to all of your viewers.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. And you gained one more member. I don't think I've ever applied to be a member, which I'm sorry, but it's long overdue. So I will definitely be getting in contact with you about filling out an application to join.
That's terrific, Erica. Thanks.
Great. Well, thank you so much again, Jim, for joining us. Welcome back to Labor Vision. We've missed you. And for all of you who are watching at home, thank you so much for tuning in to Labor Vision, the at-home edition. We hope to see you back here within the next few weeks. And everybody have a great day.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Labor Vision. We appreciate your input and encourage your comments. Labor Vision can be seen on this channel 3 times each week: Tuesday at 7 p.m., Thursday at 8 p.m., and Saturday at 5 p.m.